Okay, it's the afternoon, early afternoon break time, and I thought I would uh, just kind of talk a little bit more about the um, the painting studies, the small, imperfect painting studies, the kind that you just paint, just grab anything and paint it. And just for the practice of putting together a composition, for putting together and understanding values more, and to create compositions that you might want to work with in a larger painting later on. So one question I got on about the studies is what she was asking, if you can just make it up as you're painting, just use your imagination and paint from imagination. And yes, you can do that, but don't do it if you're just starting out. Absolutely do not do it if you're just starting out. In fact, you have to really become a well-established artist and have that knowledge of putting a form together, like, let's say, a lemon, and painting hundreds of lemons, so that you can rely on memory and you can rely on your technique to create a lemon. And even so, even being an established artist and having done hundreds of lemons, it still won't be as good as it could be if you were looking at an actual lemon in front of you. So the basic answer to that is don't do it. Yes, you can do it, but don't do it, because you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to advance yourself and move yourself forward. Always paint something from real life. Number one, from real life. Get a lemon and put it up on a little stand, a little table, and paint the lemon from all different angles, cut in half, do whatever you want with the lemon, but paint the lemon. Or go outside and paint what you see, a tree, a little pathway, a house, anything. Don't make it difficult, especially in the beginning. Choose one object and basically paint that. It's hard enough when you're outside plein air painting to get the entire scene set up, because the light changes so fast. So if you're looking at a tree and you have the shadow on this side and the light on this side, as the sun changes, the shadows are going to change and your light side is going to change. And if you're there for a few hours, you get all messed up. So especially doing studies, just go and paint something. Maybe a very small scene, maybe a tree with some bushes and a field. Something that's very basic and minimal, because the practice is to capture what you're seeing. The practice is to practice understanding the value structure of what you're looking at. The practice is to create a working composition, not a difficult one or complicated one, a working one. And to get better and to have an enjoyable time, to really enjoy yourself and let go. Let yourself have a good time out there. So that is the best way. Number one, always paint from life. Paint from life. It took me a long time to figure that out. I would take an image from a computer and paint that and say, well, it's just good. I don't need to actually go out to the beach and paint the beach. And it took me many years to figure out that painting from a picture is incredibly limited to the experience of actually going out or setting up a still life in your studio. So first, paint from life. Next, paint from an image. And let me clarify two things with that. If you're going to paint from an image, choose ideally an image that you took of something so that you can at least connect the other elements of the reason why you took that picture, the feel of the day, the time of day, the warmth, the coolness, the breeziness, the feeling that you had, why you stopped to look at this and take a picture of it. Those are all really important. And then if it's a random image, try this. Imagine how you felt. Imagine that it was you that took that picture, and imagine how you felt while you were taking the picture. Create your own stage for that image. Create it, and the feeling in the air, the time of day, the time of year, what made you want to take that image, quote unquote, take that image, or, you know, as you saw it on the internet and you liked it. What was it that made you attracted to it? And create other elements around that. It will enhance your painting. It will. And then you can just take a picture and paint that. But you will see if you try each one of those, that the strongest photo reference that you have is the one that you took, because it has some experience behind it. It has more of a flow coming through it. And if you haven't got that flow, you create it by imagining, you know, fantasy land. Go for it. Use your imagination and create the feeling and the sense until you can feel it in you. When you can feel it in you, pick up your paintbrush and start painting. Okay? And then the last, and I really do not suggest that you do this, is painting from imagination. If you're painting abstract, go ahead. But even in abstract painting, I find that if I am studying something that I want to paint, let's say the sea or the way the water swirls around the rocks when it's coming in on the shore, and I want to paint an abstract that has to do with that motion between being solid, something solid like the rock, and the fluidity of the water, I still have something in mind. I still have my own experience and what it is that I'm trying to communicate. So even an abstract should start from your perception and your visual community, and taking that and bringing it in, attaching your emotions and where you're at and the intention that you have for this painting, and putting that out onto the canvas. So I hope that answers your question and makes things clearer as to why it's so much more important to paint from life. As much as you can, paint from life. Let me just go off and tell you, when I was starting painting, and I thought that it was just fine to paint from a photo reference, and it was easy. Of course it's easy. You just sit in your studio and paint from the picture. But there was a strong difference between painting a photo reference and going out and painting real life. It's just different. And for me, I don't know if this is true for other people, but for me, the act of being outside and in the air with everything going on around me, with the bugs swirling around and the smells and the way the light is hitting the trees and watching the tree branches moving up and down, all of that is such a more deep experience than a photo. A photo is like being in shallow water. It's like it's all right there. It's easy peasy. You don't really get anything. But if you go out deep, there's so much more happening. And a certain level of the subconscious mind is somehow freed and coming through. I don't know if that makes sense to some of you, but that has been my experience, and is my purpose for painting, for loving art, because it helps me dive into my own deep waters and experience this life that I'm living on a more creative, deep level, and I like that. So those are where my thoughts are. I hope this has been helpful. Cheers.